Do we even have a number on the show?
98.
Show 98. They're telling my followers that we are on and we're live. Hi guys, show 98 here, and got Daniel and Jason with me, and Kay Robbins back there, feet on the desk. This is nice. All right, we are at the Anaheim shop, and I'll take you guys for a quick walk around. There's a bunch of new items and stuff that you guys might like to see. I don't know how many people have seen inside the Anaheim shop. This is actually, it says Ivan Stewart on it because I got it back when it was a show car, but this is actually the Toyota that I won the 1989 Mickey Thompson Off-Road Championship in. You would think after having this thing for, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years, whenever I had it, I'd at least change the number plates.
You do own a sticker printer. I
do own a sticker printer, but this car is pretty cool. This was a team I drove for back in the day. This was Cal Wells. I was teammates with Ivan Stewart, and this was before internal bypass tube shocks. This was a way that they came up with to get a rocker suspension that allows rising rate. So pretty cool. This is kind of ironic. Won the championship in 1989, and 25 years later started Stadium Super Truck. So if you ever look at these trucks, they're pretty close. When you put them side by side, this truck here probably made 250 horsepower. SST makes 650 horsepower, and a lot of inspiration here. Learned a lot from the Toyota team back in the day, and it's cool to have this truck in the lobby. Over here, Speed Tools, RC cars. You know, about, what was it? 12 years ago, I started a company called Speed Energy. Then we ended up starting RC car company, and everybody said, "Oh, you know, you'll never build RC cars. They'll never hit production." 20,000 or so RC cars later, we've got production with them and running. Speed Tools up and running. Speed Engine. This is one of our first motors. You can see this motor was actually cut here. Just keep it on display now, but obviously casted block. Full speed engine from scratch. Speed Tools, Speed Shoes. Everybody's probably wondering why Speed Shoes, and obviously when the car comes, I've always looked at how Honda, KTM, those guys have modeled their car company or their motorcycle company, and it's something I want to do as well. I want to be top to bottom speed. So we've got everything, every item, not only for the car but for the human as well. Seats, we've been in the wheel business for about probably 3 decades now. Tools is something still fairly new, but everybody's got the tools like them. These are just overstock here on the back side for some of our walk-in guys. We've got the Power Sports box and obviously the big box.
Show them what's holding up the decks.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is the front lobby desk. And something we made back in the day. You know, I have this thing about making stuff, and it doesn't matter if it's furniture, office chairs, RC cars, tires, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, we just make it. But ironically, this shock here is almost identical to what's on the Speed UTV. Now, the scary part of that is this shock was designed in 1990, but I never sold my shocks to customers. Fox actually went off and copied it and got a patent on it. I wasn't worried because I was still in the business to beat people, not to sell parts and make money. But now this is a completely spinning 360-degree shock, and basically the Speed UTV shock is modeled
directly off of those.
Directly off that shock, which is really crazy, but internal bypass. We've had this technology since the 90s. So, and I'm pretty confident that the live valve stuff these guys are doing still aren't as good as this. So, a little walk around. Lots of cool little pieces and parts. So
Baja map.
Rugged radios, and got Max's car here, and then one of our Baja maps has all of our pits on it and stuff. Just kind of give you a little walk around. North 1000, NOR 1000 2022, Max is going to drive my dad's buggy. So he'll team up with Ryan Arciero and Butch Arciero. Frank is the one that I won my first off-road race. We won Vegas to Reno. Let me flick my phone around here. We won Vegas to Reno in 1985 overall. That was my first real race in Class 1, and we overalled it our first time. So pretty cool that Max is getting the opportunity to race with Ryan and Butch there. I wish I can go, but I might be able to slide down for the weekend, and maybe just the weekend, but we are slammed. Just dotting our I's, crossing our T's with all this Speed UTV stuff. Somebody says my birthday today. Happy birthday, bud. All right, let's get into tonight's show. I've showed you around, stuff we've done over the years. This shop was actually my IndyCar shop back in 1999 when we ran the factory Toyota team. We ran that out of this place, and it's quite changed. It's pretty much storage now and Speed UTV, everything. Daniel's got a really, really nice presentation. We didn't do a show last week. We've just been so busy with all the small detail things that we have to do. Yeah, pretty cool. Max did win that with Baja Jerky, which is neat. 13 years old. His stuff is live on Facebook, and pretty smooth inside the car. We watched it last night, and it was impressive. He's doing a good job. All right, like I said, let's get ready for tonight's show. Jason, want to take that phone?
Sure.
All right, thank you. All right, tonight's going to be one of those sit-down shows. And back to the stream like we used to do it. Haven't quite done 100 shows yet. We're closing in on it. Last night we watched some other guys' shows. Watched Freedom Factory with Cletus. First time I actually watched that race all the way through. Pretty cool. And then went into Kibby Tech shows. And I got some stuff in here that's going to be very ironic, but what guys are doing for trophy trucks and trophy truck pre-runners, your Speed UTV comes with parts like this. So when we get into the suspension, I watched that with Ryan last night, talking about all the webbing. It's like, kind of like Speed UTV, but actually very similar to what we did in the trophy trucks in the 90s as well, back when the Riviera truck was built. All right, show 98. Let's flick some pages here. People have asked us to go rock crawling, and that we have done. So we have been out, we've gone rock crawling, show you some articulation, some droop, and how the thing goes. And the four-seater was good in the rocks, really, really good. And we haven't had any issues. A little hard on the rocker panels, so maybe some rock sliders on the side might be something cool for an aftermarket accessory, but we had to go do it. And it was good. Four-wheel drive, full lock, so it does go to full posi lock. Another cool picture here. As you see, this one's not actually at full droop because the sway bar is pulling up the left front tire, but it's kind of full articulation there. This is a Little Rock Canyon that we were playing in, and this was a few weeks ago. Nothing last week, just stuff that I don't think we've showed you that was pretty cool. That is over in Parker, Arizona, and I got to be honest, this uphill jump, and I did the double X, so I know the double X has a hard time climbing the hill, let alone jumping off the top of the hill. That's very, very soft. There's a G out before it, and that's where the internal bypass tube shocks when they go into full bottom out control. It allows it just to carry speed down through that straight G out and up the hill and launch like that. But we have put our four-seater up against people's race cars, and their race cars are no match for our production UTV. And that's fast Polaris race cars. The team has been out and visiting dealers. Both Todd, Connor, and Mike, they went to Coin Power Sports, I believe that was yesterday. And just kind of showing that we have been going to dealers and getting reactions. This is over at Bert's Mega Mall last week, and they also went to Vase Power Sports. So the cars have been around. These are our test cars that have lots and lots and lots of miles, and we're not afraid to let people pick them apart. You guys seem to have fun jabbing me about welds and door fitments and all this. Please understand these are pre-production cars, and lots have changed, and we'll start getting into some of those changes. Production cars have started the process. This is a picture that is obviously a little bit clearer than what we posted the other day, but there is cars that have run off the line. More cars will continue to run off the line every day, but this is stuff for us to learn the line. When we did Speed UTV, I know a lot of people thought we were doing it here and thought we were doing it there. We actually have a brand new factory at the same time. So not only designed cars, but we designed factory tooling, robot paths, full production flow, engine shop, engine, pistons, motor, gearbox, every single part, as well as a factory. And we had to do that so that we can control our own destiny. This is another section in the factory, and these are, what is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars there. 6 more cars over there in this area. And this is, I don't know what section of the factory this is offhand, but this is just another piece of the factory for us. And these are being evaluated and tested daily. This is a new part. So some of the people that may have seen our steering and wondering what we did to fix the steering chatter. We got ourselves in a box early on based on how close I wanted to have the pivot points. And when you put the pivot points, the lower pivot points, and then the upper pivot points dictate where the tie rod has to be and where it has to be on the spindle. Because we went for the longest A-arms in the industry with the most positive offset wheel, is that right? Positive? Yeah, yep. Positive offset wheel. We need a steering rack that we could get 5 inches of throw with, but we needed to keep our tie rods this part. So this steering rack is something we designed, and we designed it internally here with the members. All of our engineers have put input into this thing, and this is something that Matt spent a bunch of time on as well, but we had points that had to stay. We had this point here, this point here. So what we did is we built a full box webbing around the outside of the steering rack. So this piece here ties the steering rack tie rods, ties the rack slider with a dowel pin to the ram slider with a dowel pin to the billet blocks at the end, and then it's plated top and bottom. And what was happening is we were actually pushing the tie rod in this location. That's the top plate now. That's the top plate. And as you see, the top plate even has the bolt going through it. So not only do we tie into here, we tie into the tie rod as well. But this is a really, really cool part. And it is fully serviceable. But you probably saw ones that we've been testing with where we just welded plates on. We just had to get after it and do some redneck engineering and solve the problem and take the time to develop it the right way, which we did. So this is something that we've been testing with, but the one we tested with was welded parts. These are actually cast and forged pieces that give us the proper structure on a steering rack that we need. It's going to be way stronger than what we had as welded parts, and has taken a bunch, if not all, of the chatter out of the steering, with 0 feedback and 0 bump steer. Now, the reason why we spent so much time on this is we have lost 3 races now with Max with electronic power steering. One we crashed because it shut off. The next one we broke U-joints, and then we just broke another U-joint with the best U-joints at the MIP 400. And when you hold the power assist on the other side of the U-joints, and the U-joints are really designed for production vehicles to tell the servo which way to go and which way to load. They're not made for loading. And we broke this and crashed too many times. It's a liability. We needed hydraulic power steering. You've got hydraulic power steering. Parts like this were not on the car when we showed you a car in Sandsport 2019, 2.5 years ago. This is stuff that we have continued to improve with, and these will be standard production parts on the Speed UTV, as well as front diff, but no bump steer, hydraulic steering, double shear with extra webbing support. In the motorsport world, we call this a brick shit house. It'll last forever. Welds. I know you guys like to rip on our welds, and I want you guys, when this car comes out, I want you to go around with a fine-tooth comb and tell me which ones we missed, because I can promise you we have not missed much. These are new suspension components. These are our welds. I told you guys we weren't focused on the welds. You guys wanted to raise a big stink about it, thinking that you had us. Oh God, these guys don't know how to weld. Remember, we were doing weave in the 80s, okay? And these new robots are amazing when you teach them what they need to do. And bang, this thing can do it every day, all day. And this will not look like your Polaris and your Can-Am or your Honda or your Kawasaki. This will look like a Robbie Gordon vehicle like you've seen in the past. Here's a new one, and this is, I want to focus back on the welds again. I don't know if you can see that weld, but this is a robot weld, and this is a weld just to hold the latch on the doors. Now, this one here is pretty interesting, and a lot of people might not understand, but this little latch right here is about $250,000 latch. Because after we built the cars at Sand Sports, what we see in the model, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You didn't like it. We listened loud and clear. This is the new latch for the rear door on the four-seater. But look at what the robot's doing for laying down for beads. This latch will go into the next piece. I don't know if Daniel can show the video on here, but this was the original latch. Our booger welds, as you said, compared to our new latch, which this latch, the door comes in here into the tube. This was very sharp, very hard to get into the back seat. This has been addressed. I told you guys it would be addressed. But not only did we address this, we had to address door tooling. We had to change the panels. We had to change molds. When I say this is a $250,000 change, that was a $250,000 change. It is what it is. It's about making quality products, and this was something that was necessary to be done. This is the latching system. Kind of behind the scenes, just kind of cool that, you know, shows how the latches work. And this is a latch that you push from the top down. This is the one you pull from the inside, and here's the one that locks into the tube. But this is this was a major change that took a lot of work, and something that should take years to do has been done in months. It's been addressed. It'll be addressed on everybody's car when they get it. Because I felt that was a liability. I thought it was, I banged my knee on it getting in numerous times, working on the thing the last 6 months. We have scars on our backs, climbing out from the car and catching that thing. Pretty clean little update that we did for you. And we didn't do it for you, we did it for us. It's about reputation, and at the end of the day, this thing needs to be right. Doors, door seams, door fitment, how they open, the carbon fiber, all the small details. Daniel, is there a possibility to play the video? Can we jump to the video real quick and show the doors opening, or no?
I don't have that loaded, but we can post that after maybe.
Okay, we'll post it. Rob built a video, click, click, bang, where the doors are opening. But they both now open independently. That was part of the rear door change. I knew that was going to have to happen. I wasn't that worried about it. And I know that this continues to get questions asked when we take these cars to dealer shows. Is this how the doors are going to be? The answer is no. They've been addressed. It was on a topic for us. It wasn't as important as our engine. Our engine was the most important thing, but this was high on the list of fit and finish and attention to detail. Shocks. I showed you the shocks over there. Those shocks didn't have this piece, and this is the externally adjustable compression and rebound on the shocks. And then this is a new piece that those shocks didn't have either. We built a flat there so that you can actually tighten these. We had a couple of these come loose testing, and we had a strap wrench, and we thought that would be fine, but we ended up having to put a hex on it just because we want to make sure it's bulletproof for you. change this. These two colors, very easy. We knew right was rebound, left was compression, so we've actually just changed the colors. So it's got a silver nickel or silver cad here and gold cad here. Silver is rebound, which is still on the right side as you're adjusting your shock. But what's nice about this allows your car to not have to go to shock therapy, not have to go to your buddy's shock place to get tuned when you want to go to the sand dunes. We'll tell you what a sand dune setting is, what we recommend, and then what your desert setting is. But it's two completely different riding characteristics, and you need a stiffer shock when you go to the dunes. So this is a way to make a stiffer shock. Very easy adjustment. Don't need to let the nitrogen down. You don't need to go spend $2,500 on a shock upgrade. You can actually play with these yourself, and we'll give you the tricks of the trade of what we learn. And this is your setup for Barstow. This is your setup for San Felipe. This is your Glamis setup. Here's what we run at Parker. And for me, we will share all of our updates as we update, because it's going to be important that if we have guys that race these cars, that all of the cars run at the front. So we will continue to share that information with you. So think of Speed UTV as a multi-car team that is taking on everybody else. And you racers that have come from the industry before understand this is what we have done our whole lives. Now this is a racer building a race car as a production vehicle that's very, very reliable. I look at building this UTV more like building a trophy truck pre-runner instead of a trophy truck. Something that's got to run for lots of miles. Tools, we will have tools available. We will not lock you out of the shocks. The shocks are completely adjustable. They're completely rebuildable, and we will sell you the tools to be able to do that job your own. We'll also build you a manual on how to find your way back home. We'll give you a cracker trail so that you can, when you get lost, always come back to home base and stay there. I know there's a lot of guys and girls that like to tinker in the garage. We'll help you do that. This is just some fittings for a production vehicle. This is stuff that you might see on like your air conditioning system, but this is the port fittings that we have, O-ring ports for the oil lines running from the heat exchanger. I needed something that could swivel. I was afraid of vibration after years and stuff, so this is a O-ring port swivel that goes to a rubber hose just to make something really reliable. This is stuff that we learned testing with our hard lines, and we needed to take some of the hard lines back out of it and give it some flexibility. Engine shop. This is a brand new engine shop. This is not somebody's reproduced, resurfaced engine shop. Like I said, when Speed UTV did the car, we not only did the car, we did the engine factory. There was a separate set of engineers that have been involved in this project. These guys have done a wonderful job. Like Daniel and Jason and Matt and Mike and everybody that worked at UTV factory, we were sharing that information of what parts and pieces and what they'd be like, so that we could build a factory that would hold the tooling so that it would be able to produce engines. If I tell you we're going to produce cars every 20 minutes, then I need to produce engines probably every 15 minutes because we're going to have engines wear out, we're going to have guys make mistakes, things are going to happen, aftermarket's going to want to play. We need more engines in the market than just what we have for cars, so we've geared this up for engine complete every 15 minutes rolling off this assembly line. Now, when I say 15 minutes, I want to be really clear. That is not 15 minutes start to finish. That's at the finish line, 15 minutes want to pop off. It's probably a 5 or 6 hour process down the assembly line, maybe a little bit less, but every 15, a new one will spin off the assembly.
15 minutes between carts.
Between carts. There you go.
Not to do a full lap.
There you go. Thank you. Thanks for helping that. And I think in my explanations, I probably have not made myself clear. I say we can build a car in 20. That's not true. It's probably 9 hours for a complete car, start to finish, but every 15 minutes, this thing will change a section and it'll go through a different process to get put together. Tooling, you know, what it took to do this tooling. And I know you guys, especially the haters, love to say, am I ever going to get this thing done? 2 years, new car, factory, engine from scratch, tires from scratch, shock from scratch, ECU, seats, seat belts, chassis. I guess that's what it takes. At the end of the day, it's going to be right when it hits the market. All this tooling's new. Everything's new. Everything is top notch. It's beyond what we have at my factory, at our design studio. This is taking what the tools we worked for the last 30 years and taking it to a completely different level. I believe, I don't even know if Formula One's at this level. This is Ford, GM, Chevrolet, but I've been to all their factories, and I believe our factory is nicer than theirs. Again, another picture from the factory from a different view, and very, very, very exciting. Clean room. We operate the engine factory like you would see a carbon shop. Booties, suits, outfits, full-blown doctor's office. I have been in hospitals dirtier than our engine shop. More engine assembly line. This is obviously one of our blocks going through the process. I think I know I did. I posted a video. Everybody thought we were CNCing an engine after it was assembled. That was a robot putting down the silicone. But if you think about it, if we don't do it the same way exactly every time, the warranty issue could be massive. Nobody likes oil leaks. So torquing machine, head bolts, robots for chassis. Chassis all built up in the background, all CNC bent and notched tubes. This has been adjusted and fine-tuned, and as you can see, the welds are A-okay. By far the best wire feed stuff I have ever seen. This was where I was talking about with Ryan, who's a friend of mine, and he was showing his A-arms, and he mentioned to me at one point that that they did the pivot points on the chassis. That's not a bad thing, as long as your chassis is square and you know where you're going to put it. We do a full weld here. We weld all of the trailing arm, A-arms,
the
body complete, and we put the cups and the pivot points on last. And what that does, if it flexes or tweaks, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't care what it flexes, as long as the 3 points that matter are in the right position with the shock. The rest of this can float around and do whatever it wants to do. So these are the robots doing the trailing arms. Trailing arms, let me just give you an aftermarket upgrade accessory kit on a, let's say an Articat. Comes with $7,000 worth of suspension on your Speed UTV. $12,000 worth of shocks. Just start doing the math. A proper engine, seats, carbon fiber seats, seat belts, 5 points. Proper ECU, flat screen dash. This one here, we have definitely hydraulic power steering, sequential shifter. We've taken this over the top, but it was time to share with you the let's call it 35, 40 years of racing experience. I'm gonna go with 40 years because that would put me at 13 years old where Max is now. And I was playing in Parnelli Jones's shop, Bill Stropp's shop back as a kid when I was 13 years old. And without those experiences, I would never be able to bring a product like this to you.
Some of the clean rooms, the climate controlled inside.
Yep, these are all climate controlled rooms. These will be fitment rooms for engine. When we press bearings in, we want to make sure that it's done at the right temperature, that there's cold rooms, there's hot rooms, and there's also ovens inside there so that we can stick the whole part in there, not just heat it up in one area, do the whole part, drop it in with presses, and you'll see some other tooling starting to roll through now. These are just some of the machines. There's some of the presses that are in there. Some dynos, some calibration machines, everything you could dream of at a big kid toy factory, we have it. We have every single thing to make everything, and it's not just done to make a UTV, it's so that we can do a production car later on. Parts, like I said, trophy truck, IndyCar, F1, quality parts right from the get-go on a production UTV. When you make 50,000 of one part, it's pretty easy to do it that way. Oil pumps, motor mounts, just little casting pieces, all the little trick widgets that you always dreamed and wished you could do, we were able to do it. Hoses, plumbing, this is our belt covers. These are basically kits, so that we can do kits of engines to run the assembly line. Throttle bodies, O-ringed throttle bodies, not gaskets. Everything that you would do on a proper high performance vehicle, this thing has it. And that's why I'm looking forward to seeing what aftermarket can get done with our engines, because we believe we've squeezed about as much out of it reliable. If you think about it, we're at about 150 horsepower per cylinder. Pretty gnarly when you think of it that way. I'm sure guys will turn up boost, drag racing, nitrous, other stuff will come into play. You guys out there, you guys and girls that play in aftermarket, this one's going to be a fun one to watch. Forged parts, forged cranks, forged balancers, one-piece turbos, as we've told you before. These are our parts carts. As you see, parts are now stocked up. Heads are stocked up. Caps, clutches, brake rotors, chassis, just all kinds of different parts and pieces. But this process has started. It's been exciting. It's been fun. I've lost a lot of hair over it. Probably put 10 years on my life, but confident that we can do about whatever we put our mind to now. And I want to thank all of our staff members, customers, and everybody involved. Even you haters, I love you. Appreciate it because you drive me. Good night.